The Oklahoma Sooners picked up a huge win over the Tennessee Volunteers on Saturday night. Let's break it down on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and thanks for being with us here live on Locked On Sooners. A big win, 33-27 win over the Tennessee Volunteers in Knoxville on the road, a top 25 win in a night game. You scored 30 points. You got turnovers. You got a defensive touchdown. You gave up some yards, but you got the win. Win is a win is a win is a win. You're not going to apologize for how you win. You're just going to be glad that you won the game. You're 7-2 on the season now. You're 3-2 in SEC play. Absolutely huge win. I want to start here before we go to what went well, because it's the thing that drove me the most crazy. And we'll move on to all the positive afterwards. I know typically I'm going to start positive and then end with the negative, but I'm going to flip it this time. John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle, you have the ball, you're in scoring territory, and you throw a pass. The worst possible thing that could happen in that minute, in that moment, is throw a pass. This would be the thing we'd lead off with if Oklahoma lost the game. It's going to be the thing we lead off with if Oklahoma, because even though Oklahoma won the game, you're under 4 minutes in the game. Or it's 4:18 left in the game, and you turn the ball over and give Tennessee a whole lot of life. A whole lot of life. Run the ball 3 times, kick a field goal, and you put yourself in a position where you're up 12. You're up 2 scores. They'd have to score 2 touchdowns to beat you. Instead, you put yourself in a position where you were up 9 and a touchdown and a field goal beats you. So just really, really poor decision-making by Ben Arbuckle, by John Mateer on that one. There's no reason to throw the ball. You're averaging 4.9 yards per carry at that point in the game. Absolutely no reason for it. You shouldn't have thrown it. You probably know, looking back at it, that you shouldn't have thrown it. Just one of those moments where you're snatching victory or snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. That's how the reverse saying goes. Just silly, man. Just absolutely silly. And that's what I'm going to say about it now. We can talk more about it later in the show if you'd like to. We can talk more about it in another episode. But now let's get to this, because this game was a tale of 2 games. On the first 2 drives for the Tennessee Volunteers, it just looked like they were going to have a day. They were moving the ball. Joey Aguilar was on target. He was comfortable in the pocket. He was making the right decisions, throwing good balls. And they drove right down the field, scored a touchdown on the opening drive. Oklahoma couldn't get off the field in key situations. And then on the second drive, after Oklahoma isn't able to do anything on their first offensive drive, on Tennessee's second drive, again, they move the ball down the field. They look like they're heading in the right direction. They get into scoring range, and then Owen Heineckke just flies off the edge and blasts Joey Aguilar. Just absolutely separates his soul from his body and the football as well. And ARMIES Thomas has the grown maniest moment that maybe I've seen on a football field from a defensive player with the ball in his hands. He recovers the fumble one-handed fumble recovery, scoops it up with I guess he's a tight end, latched onto him. ARMIES Thomas is also latched onto the tight end, and they are jockeying for position for like 20 yards. Like, it wasn't like he didn't separate initially. Like, they're going for 20 yards, just jockeying for position, jockeying for the ball. He's trying to bring him down, and ARMIES Thomas is just, no, sir, no, son. He absolutely sunned him in that moment, and then rumbles on for the touchdown. Yeah, he strained his hamstring, and man, those things are difficult. Thank goodness it's the bye week, but my goodness, that moment right there turned the game around. especially for the defense. The defense found life after that moment. They found confidence. They found a swagger. They were making plays, and Joey Aguilar was not comfortable after that. He made some really nice throws throughout the game. He made really good plays, but you could tell he was a different player after Owen Heineckke blasted him. So that was a transcendent moment in this game. That sets the tone for the other interceptions that you get in this game, because Joey Aguilar is maybe not seeing the field as clearly after getting blasted by Owen Heineckke, because Joey Aguilar doesn't feel like he's got near as much time in the pocket as he did earlier in the game. But again, Joey Aguilar absolutely battled in this one. The turnovers killed them, but you got to give credit to Owen Heineckke and ARMIES Thomas for that moment, because if they don't get that one and Tennessee goes up 14-0, it's a completely different football game. I don't know that Oklahoma offensively has it in them to come back from 2 touchdowns down. But when you're able to tie the game 7-7, it's a whole new ball game. It's fresh. It's like it's 0-0, and you can play a totally different way when you're down, when you're tied, versus when you're down 2 touchdowns. So that was the play of the game, maybe even the play of the season. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But that moment right there, it took the season in a completely different trajectory than I think maybe a lot of us, myself included, were feeling as Tennessee's driving on that second drive. So just an absolutely huge moment. The defense responded. They were so much better the rest of the way. Again, Tennessee made some plays. There were some moments. Young Cortland Guillory, my guy, you got to wrap up. There were moments in this one where it got a little bit away from him again. But after that play, and then until the final few minutes where Oklahoma went into a lot of prevent defense, the defense played really well, especially in the third quarter. And this was a game that, you know, throughout, I'm feeling like, I don't know, man. I'm just not sure they're going to be able to close this one out. But they did. They found enough plays to win this game. Just an absolutely huge performance. You know, I can't understate how big a moment Owen Heineckke's strip sack, ARMIES Thomas's fumble return for a touchdown were for this team, and what it did, I think, for both sides of the ball, both for the offense and for the defense. The offense found a little bit of life. You know, it wasn't great still, but they found enough, right? They found enough to get the ball into scoring territory and let Tate Sandell take care of the rest until they could find a groove in the third quarter. And you don't do that unless your defense is playing really, really well. And they were. Again, it could have been a 14-0 game after the first 2 drives of the game. Instead, Oklahoma went into halftime up 16-10 because the defense responded after being challenged by a really good Tennessee offense and a really good play caller in Josh Heupel and a really good quarterback in Joey Aguilar with some elite wide receivers. The defense responded, and then the offense made just enough plays in that first half to get Tate Sandell into kicking territory. Just huge, man. Just absolutely huge. It's a big time performance. You know, there are going to be ways to nitpick. I'm already seeing some of that in the comments, and listen, I'm with you. It's not a great game, but you go get a win on the road in a top 25 matchup and a gotta have it game, because if you want to make the college football playoff, you can't drop another one. You can't hope that the committee is going to put you in the playoff based on your strength of schedule. No, you got to go win every one of them and force your way into the playoff. So it's a huge win. There's going to be nitpicking. There's things that Oklahoma absolutely has to get better at throughout this season. But to come away with a win on a night like tonight, in the blackout, with a hostile 100,000 inside Neyland Stadium against a really good offense, you know, the number 2 scoring offense in the nation coming in, that's a good win. It is a really good win. And you all should be happy about it, and you should celebrate it. Are there things that have to get better? 100%. Let's talk about John Mateer coming up, because my guy, where you been? We'll do that coming up here on Locked On Sooners. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, Owen Heineckke's strip sack, ARMIES Thomas fumble return for a touchdown, completely changed the game. If Oklahoma doesn't get that, who knows what that game looks like the rest of the way. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Let's talk John Mateer, because this was the most John Mateer performance that we've seen since Oklahoma played Auburn. And whether it's feeling more confident in the thumb or the hand, or just feeling more confident against this Tennessee defense, because listen, they're not great against the pass. They're a pretty good run defense though. They allow less than 4 yards per carry as a run defense. I think they're around 50th in the nation. I say good. They're okay. They're an okay run defense. Terrible pass defense. It wasn't a great game from John Mateer, but it was a managed the game well. It was a took care of the football for the most part, save for the final, or that final pass attempts that I spoke about earlier in the show, and I'm sure we'll talk about quite a bit. That was absolutely ridiculous. He managed the game well. He didn't put the ball in harm's way other than that. And really, any other point in the game, that's not a terrible decision. It's an RPO. He keeps it, makes the throw, puts it right on his guy. The guy's got to catch it, but it bobbles up. But it's just the timing of that, the point of the game in which you're in. You cannot throw that ball. That was so Hugh Freeze of Oklahoma to call that play in that moment and then turn the ball over, when all you got to do is just run the ball, kick a field goal, and you're up 12. So there's that. But other than that, he made, for the most part, really good decisions running the football. I thought he was the most confident he's looked. And I felt like going into this one, if he got a couple scrambles early in this game, as opposed to a lot of designed quarterback runs early on, that maybe he'd feel a little bit more confident. And he did. He had several scrambles that I felt like opened things up for him and made him feel a little bit better running the ball. And I think John Mateer just played a more confident football game. There were times where some of that old John Mateer crept in, where he wasn't necessarily the most confident, and he wasn't confident either in what he was seeing or in the pass protection, got a little happy feet at times. And, you want to see him continue to get better and get more confident. You're going to have 3 defenses coming up that are a lot more difficult to play against than Tennessee's. So he's going to have to continue to build on this performance and grow from here. But in a hostile environment, in this game, do or die for Oklahoma, he made enough throws to keep the chains moving. The things I liked what Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer were doing were, hey, it's second down. Let's just get 5 here. We don't have to go get it all. If we get 5, we put ourselves in a better position. And they did that. He connected with Deion Burks on several that were just, it was like 3rd and 4 or whatever, and they got 5. Or it was 2nd and 9 and they got 6 to put themselves in better position to go get a first down. That's the stuff that I liked seeing here, when he would just hit his drop and release the ball. He wasn't sitting back there a ton and trying to work everything down the field. We saw a lot more in the short game. Now they got to start pushing the ball down the field more, but he was taking what the defense was giving them. Key 3rd down late in the game before they turn the ball over, key 3rd down. He hits Isaiah Satania for a dart, gets the first down. And then, they decide to just throw the ball again when all they needed to do was run it 3 times. But made really good decisions, I thought, with the football. Made good decisions on when to run on the scramble. There was another one where I felt like, okay, he decided to run a little bit too early and it wasn't there. So again, some up and some down from John Mateer. But I think at this point in the season, where 8 games into John Mateer as the starter for Oklahoma, it's just going to be up and down. You hope that it's going to be more good than bad. And tonight it was a lot more good than there was bad. Was there some bad? Sure. But there was a lot more good. Again, there was a key run on 3rd and 16 when I want to say, there was a holding call and it dropped, backed them up to, 1st and 20. And then, they had just like a short play for a few yards. And, the sequence after that, the next 2 plays after that weren't good. And so Oklahoma, needed a big first down. This was in the 3rd quarter, I think, and it might've been part of that one of those touchdown drives, but he goes and he gets like 18 on a 3rd and 16, the Adrian Martinez moment, right? Kansas State, Oklahoma back in, 2022 when it's 3rd and 16 and you just got to get a stop, get the ball back. Well, anyway, not to bring up bad memories, but 3rd and 16, John Mateer goes and gets you 18. And he had several of those kind of scrambles tonight that made me feel more confident in him as a runner because I was not feeling confident. I've been talking about how he needs to run less and they need to run him less because he didn't look confident running the football. Well, he looked a whole lot better today than I've seen him look since the Michigan game. Like this was his best rushing performance since the Michigan game, easily. And again, Tennessee, not a great run defense, but Oklahoma did what they needed to do. You go and you get a win against, again, the number 2 scoring offense in college football. That's not for nothing. You're able to hold them to, 24 points, 27 points in this one. And I mean, that's huge, man. Sure, you could look at some of the big time stats. They threw for 393 passing yards. Hate to see it. But again, it's a really good passing offense. But you held them to 35 rushing yards. They averaged just 1.8 yards per rush. So the run defense, really good. We know that the pass defense is just kind of up and down. We know that we got a true freshman starting at cornerback. But all in all, I thought the offensive line did a good job running with the offense. Your 2 true freshmen, I felt like played a pretty solid game. There was a Ryan Foje false start at one point. Eddie Pierre Louis got called for a false start at one point as well. But again, it's a hostile environment on the road and you're young players. But when they needed big moment or big runs and they needed a big moment, that Xavier Robinson run at the end of the game where he laid down at the 1 yard line, the offensive line absolutely blew Tennessee up. And Xavier Robinson, he's got like so much room to run. So the offensive line is getting better. Is it perfect? No, not even close, but it's getting better. And your true freshmen that are starting at right tackle and left tackle, Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje, they're getting better all the time. Eddie Pierre Louis looking good. And you have a chance to bring 4 of these 5 guys back next year along your offensive line. That's huge. That's 100. That's so big. From the wide receiver perspective, Isaiah Satania had a really solid day. Why it took so long to get him involved, I'm not exactly sure. If it was a Tennessee game plan just to take him out of the equation or what, but once they started getting him involved, once they really started using the quick game, I think that's when they really found their confidence. They came out first drive of the 3rd quarter and Mateer hits a couple passes really quickly. And then things kind of stall out, but I felt like that's kind of what gave them a little bit of confidence. And then they were able to find some plays in the passing game. And I think when they were able to do that, it just kind of opened everything else up. So they found more balance and it was a solid offensive performance. The numbers aren't going to look great. You had 351 total yards, not great, but pretty good. 192 rushing yards. You averaged 5.5 yards per carry. And then you just had 159 passing yards. But if we look at Mateer's day, I know this is supposed to be a Mateer segment. I'm kind of all over the place. Had 2 soccer games early in the day. Sorry, tired. Anyway, but Mateer, 19 to 29 for 159 and an interception, 66% completion percentage. The interception, not great, but also not necessarily his fault. The offensive coordinator needs to not let him throw in that moment. And the wide receiver needs to catch the ball. That's kind of what it comes down to. Elsewhere offensively, Isaiah Satania, 6 catches for 68 yards. Deion Burks, 6 for 45. Jerry Cannick, 3 for 16. Jermichael Carter making an appearance, 2 catches, 21 yards. Really liked what I saw out of him. I think he might have been the one that dropped the ball on the interception, though. So, some good. Just got to catch the ball a little bit. Xavier Robinson, 16 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown, a 43-yard run. And he did have the fumble when he got punched right in the head, and then got punched in the head and then got the ball punched out. I don't know if that's illegal hands to the face or not, but that should be illegal hands to the face. So good, some really solid performances from the offense. Again, offense did just enough. And that's what we need out of this offense. When you have a defense like we've got, you just got to do enough. And they did just enough. Defensively, we'll talk a little bit more about that coming up next. Some of the big games there. We got to talk about our guy, Tate Sandell, because all kinds of impressed with that dude. I don't care if he's wearing the short shorts and not Kirk Herbstreit. He can wear all the short shorts he wants if he keeps kicking it like that. We'll do that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. It's the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Oklahoma, we got to go with Tate Sandell. He delivered in a big way with 3 field goals and 2 of 50 yards or more. Could have had another one had John Mateer not thrown the interception. When the pressure was on, Tate Sandell came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this isn't a fluke. Tate Sandell is on a streak. And just like Sandell delivered for Oklahoma, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. And once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Tate Sandell, incredible. Just incredible. And it's making me rethink my never kick moment or modicum when you have a guy that can kick as well as he kicks. Like he's kicking so well that he will get drafted. He will be an NFL draft pick because of how well he's kicking. And it's easy to take it for granted, man, but the dude is just bombing away. It's so good to see it, because when you get into plus territory, you always feel like you can come away with points. And you can't understate how huge it was that Oklahoma was able to tie the game at 10 and then go get a lead after some of those interceptions. The Oklahoma, it was like 10-10 with, I think, 1:08 left in the game or something like that. Or let's see. It was 10-10 with 3:41 left in the game. Or in the first half, not in the game. 10-10, 3:41 left in the first half. And Oklahoma drives for a field goal. About 1:08 mark. And then they get another interception as Tennessee's trying to drive. They get the ball at 2:33. And then at 1:08, kick a field goal. Tennessee has plenty of time. They got timeouts in the bag. And Joey Aguilar throws a loft ball, gets the loft wedge out, and just kind of throws it out there. And Robert Spears Jennings comes up with the interception and returns it a long way and puts Oklahoma back in scoring range again. And Tate Sandell, another big field goal kick to put Oklahoma 16-10 up on Tennessee going into halftime. Man, that's huge for the confidence to be up on the road in this kind of a game. Now, Tennessee responded. They got the lead. It was 17-16, but just a really good performance, man. You get those interceptions, which we've been looking for turnovers all season long, right? We've been begging for them. Well, Joey Aguilar gives you a couple. And even though the offense didn't score a touchdown, they got field goals out of it, and it helped maintain that momentum. so that even though you did give up the score to make it 17-16, you still felt really, really good about where you're at, because you can go get points. If you can get to the opponent's 35 or 40, you're going to come away with some points. And so having a weapon like Tate Sandell in this one, it's just incredible. And when you're a defensive football team, having weapons like him and Grayson Miller, it goes a long way to helping you win football games when you have a kicker that kicks like that and a punter that punts like that. So shout out to Tate Sandell. Yeah, I mean, if you want to give him the MVP, absolutely do it. Go do that. He deserves all the flowers. He should be SEC Special Teams Player of the Week, 100%. He was fantastic. Another player fantastic, I already talked about him a little bit, Owen Heineckke. That dude, starting in place of Kip Lewis, was playing with his hair on fire. That guy, the former lacrosse player, I don't know what Ohio State necessarily didn't see in him as a football player or what, but Owen Heineckke, you're a football player, my dude. And even for somebody like your boy John, who also loves a little lacrosse, this is for you, Owen. You're a football player, my guy. Like, you've got a big, big, bright future ahead of you. You played a phenomenal game. You've been playing great all year, but when Oklahoma needed you to play maybe your best game, you came through with your best game. Kip Lewis was also fantastic, especially in the second half. I think, Owen Heineckke, he had like 12 or 13 tackles in the first half, 12 tackles in the first half. Well, and Kip Lewis, I mean, he had 10 in the game, a tackle and a half for loss and half a sack, a pass breakup, a QB hit. Kip Lewis was excellent. The linebackers were great in this one. Early in the game, I felt like they were kind of struggling with the read, the RPO game, and all of the play action that Tennessee was trying to do. And those second and third level defenders were biting a little bit too hard on that stuff. And then they adjusted and they said, hey, you know what? We'll just let our front four and our front seven go win at the line of scrimmage, and we'll take away that deep stuff. And again, they hit on some things, but they didn't hit on enough things to go win the football game. And you got the interceptions from Peyton Bowen that was just beautiful. Like, that's exactly how a safety should play that. It was textbook, just glides on over from his middle of the field position and takes the ball away. Fantastic. And Robert Spears Jennings made up for the play early in the game where he just bit a little bit too hard on the play action, and the tight end sneaks in behind him and the ball just kind of sails over his head. That's a thing he's got to be in position for, and he's got to look for. I think so much of it is you want to get downhill and make a play, but with the way that this defensive front plays, you kind of have to just trust them sometimes to go make the play and just hold for just a half second longer. Because if he holds for a half second longer, Joey Aguilar doesn't have anywhere to go with that ball. Or if he throws it, it's a pick in the end zone. So makes up for that, gets that interception late in the game. Just a huge play, late in the game, but late in the first half, huge play. Again, gives Oklahoma an opportunity to get 3 more points on the board. And the defense just responded, man. When Armies and Thomas went down, the edge guys played really, really well. Kirk Bryan right here is making, letting us, reminding us here that RSJ was tough on the onside kick recovery. Yeah. And Ivan Carrion on the next one. Both of those guys came through on special teams. Special teams had a really good day. It was a really good day from special teams. No muffed punts. They did a good job in kick coverage. They did a good job on the onside coverage. And all in all, really, really good. Let's talk about Cortland Guillory for a minute, because all people will look at is like the pass interferences and the missed tackles. Let's just remember, this is a true freshman starting against guys that are much older and will be playing in the NFL. Those kind of players are going to make plays on you. That's just what's going to happen. Whether it's a pass interference, which we could debate the pass interference one till we're blue in the face, because that is one of the more frustrating things to watch, is a quarterback who is getting hit as he throws the ball, getting bailed out because it's an underthrown ball, and the cornerback is playing in phase with the wide receiver, and the wide receiver has to fight back through the cornerback to go get the ball. Like, to me, that should be considered in the uncatchable realm. It doesn't just have to be a lot of the way over the head throws, because again, a lot of it's the trail technique, and you're having your guys play from behind and then turn and look to find the ball. And he's got to get better at that. No doubt about it. Got to get better at his tackling. No doubt about it. But he made big plays in this one. He had some big moments in coverage where he looked really good. Jacoby Johnson as well. Devin Jordan as well had some really good moments. All in all, again, against a really, really good pass offense, they made just enough plays to get the win. Again, these are young players. Eli Bowen is just a sophomore. He's a young player. Corley Guillory is a young player. David Stone, the personal foul, he's a young player. You've got a lot of young players on this defense that are out there making plays for you and winning football games. So as opposed to like hyper fixating on the mistakes, let's remember that these are young players playing in big time top 25 matchups and playing for the most part pretty well enough to win. Because that's the part that matters, right? Is you get the win. And they will get better. They will continue to improve. Cortland Guillory has already shown, he did it last week against Ole Miss, where he was fantastic, that he's got it in him to be a lockdown corner. And again, even the great corners are going to get hit with defensive pass interference calls. It's just going to happen because, again, the guy's fighting back through you to get back to an underthrown ball. It's not your fault. That's just the way it is. And then let's see the defensive front, man, without ARMIES Thomas, I thought the defensive front really came up big. PJ Adebawore had a nice stop on a third down run where they tried to run like quarterback power to the right with Joey Aguilar, and ARMIES Thomas got there, man. He made the nice play, darted inside, not ARMIES. PJ Adebawore got in there and made the nice play. Taylor Wine was really, really good in this one. I thought Marvin Jones Jr. had some good moments. Danny Okoye, dude, flew up the field and got a sack in this one. They all played really, really well. The defensive tackle group, again, just plays really good. Somebody mentioned it earlier in the chat that the Tennessee offensive line was getting away with some holding. Yeah, they were. And they still were able to fight through and get pressure on Joey Aguilar. I cannot wait to see what the pressure numbers were, because they definitely were starting to get more and more pressure as the game was going on. And there were several more opportunities for strip sacks, like KIP Lewis's sack, again, just blazing around the edge and popping him. Grayson Halton cleaning it up. Huge moments in the game. So listen, a really, really solid performance from the defense, solid performance from the offense, a great performance from special teams. Give them an A+ all day, every day. Xavier Robinson, haven't even talked about him, but he's shown it. He showed it again. RB1. I love Torrey Blaylock. I love his future. I love his potential. He's going to continue to get better. He only got one carry in this game because it's Xavier Robinson, and they've decided to go ahead and make him the feature guy. We're not messing around anymore. And I think we can all celebrate that. We can all celebrate the fact that they've decided that it's Xavier Robinson that's going to carry the ball, and they're going to feed him. He had 16 carries for what it turned out to be 115 rushing yards, averaged 7.2 yards per carry. Had the moment that was kind of weird at the end. Should I score? Should I lay down? I don't care. Either way, it ultimately ended up in an Oklahoma win. I wish they would have let him carry the ball in there for the deciding touchdown, but whatever. X-Rob, he's playing good ball. That should be your guy until he graduates. And then Torrey Blaylock should also be a featured part of your offense. You got to get him involved. He's too dynamic. You got to throw him the ball to the backfield sometimes. Give him the ball. He only got the one carry. Hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he's not unhealthy, and that's why you aren't seeing him or didn't see him as much. But yeah, man, Xavier Robinson played a really good game. Fumble aside, that kind of thing happens. It was a really nice play by Farouk, the Tennessee safety. First, you hit him in the head too. Who knows how well you hold on the ball if you get punched in the head, even with a helmet on. You gotta secure the ball in that situation, but still a good game. And I love that that Oklahoma went back to him. They showed trust in him by going right back to him on the next drive. And then he was able to score the touchdown and put Oklahoma in a good position. So good game by XAVIER Robinson. The offensive line, yeah, I thought the offensive line played really well. Was it a great game? No. Was it a perfect game? No. Was it clean 100%? No. It's on the road. It's a difficult environment to play in, but they played a really solid game. Again, you've got 2 true freshmen at offensive tackle. You've got Eddie Pierre-Louis, who's only been the starter for the last 2 weeks. And then, Michael and Fabechi Wiwo are your veterans, but you've got a lot of youth out there, a lot of inexperience. And to be able to go on the road and play the way that they played, and I think they only had maybe 2 procedural penalties on the offensive line, and it was EPL and it was Ryan Foje. That's awesome, man. That is great. That's great coaching. I know a lot of people are throwing shade at Bill Beaton, but that's great coaching preparation to get these guys focused and ready. And it's just great discipline by those guys to only have 2 false start penalties in this game. Now there was illegal formations on the wide receivers because they weren't squared to the line of scrimmage when the ball was snapped. I think Deion Burks got hit for one of those. Ryan Foje got hit for a hold, but that was to me more on John Mateer because he was just dancing all over the place and not throwing the ball. Ryan Foje was probably blocking for 4 or 5 seconds on that play. So to me, that's a Mateer hold, not a Ryan Foje hold. So we're not going to chalk that one up to Foje. But yeah, they just played really, really well. So all in all, to me, just a really, really strong performance. I'm going to go back and try and find some of y'all's comments because I love to read y'all's comments. William Mon, he says, I'm going to bed happy. I'll catch this on the podcast. Yeah, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. Boomer Sooner. Yeah, we are all happy. Colt 405 says, let's build off that second half offense. Yeah, it looked so much better. It really did in the second half. I think getting the quick game going, not allowing John Mateer to make a lot of decisions in those moments, just, hey, hit your drop, get rid of the ball. Throwing a lot of short stuff. I think that really helped get them going and find a little bit of a rhythm. Michael Tidwell says, I ain't never been so stressed in my life. Oddly, man, I was not as stressed in this one as I was for the Ole Miss one. Maybe because it was a primetime game, my caffeine had worn off for this one. So I was kind of just vibing and chilling. Also just really tired. So not nearly as stressed, but yeah, dude, it was, I got a little more stressed there at the end of the game after they threw the interception. Let me just say that. WTF is a volunteer. Yeah. I mean, maybe they need to get paid for their work and maybe they'd play better. RMT set the tone. The bye week, we need to get healthy. Boomer Sooner. Yeah. Got to get RMT healthy. Armies Thomas got to get him healthy for the stretch run. It's important because he's a key player on this defense. Your defense stepped up. Your defensive line stepped up. They played well. But how different does that fourth quarter look when you have Armies Thomas on the field? The closer, right? It looks very different. Joey Aguilar doesn't have near as much time. XAVIER Robinson deserves that touchdown. Only one Mr. Anderson. Yeah, I agree, Mr. Anderson. I would have loved to see XAVIER Robinson get that score because, again, he set them up to be in that position. Charles says, Boomer and John Mateer finally started to look like his old self, at least in the second half. Yeah, absolutely did. He looked as comfortable and confident as he's had. What? I've lost the words. Since Auburn, Michigan. Again, it's his best rushing performance since the Michigan game. Still the passing yards aren't there. I don't think he feels entirely comfortable with what he's seeing down the field just yet. But again, better is better than what it was last week. So there's that. Christian Rich says a win is a win. Boomer Sooner. Yeah. You go win. It's hard to win, right? Texas isn't apologizing for the way that they've won their last 3 games and they beat Kentucky in overtime, Mississippi State in overtime, and then held on to beat Vandy at home by 3. So yeah, you don't apologize for how. You just chalk it up as a W. You're 7-2. Raymond says the kicker just got drafted after that game. Michael Tidwell says Sandell deserves the game ball, 100%. Silverman said, I fully expected to get blown out. So glad I'm wrong. Hey, listen, Silverman, after the way the first 2 drives were going, it looked like Oklahoma was going to get blown out until Owen Heineckke flashed off the edge and hit Joey Aguilar so hard that he coughed the ball up, and ARMIES Thomas did grown man ARMIES Thomas things. And again, scooped the ball up one-handed. He was getting held on like this with his left hand. He's got his right arm. He just scoops it up like he's a superhero, and he's picking up a baby out of a burning building, keeping a wall from collapsing on him. And then he fights with the dude for 20 yards before finally separating and running 71 yards down the field. How Tennessee didn't get someone to tackle him while he was being held on to is just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, I expected, I was not feeling good. I'm not going to say I expected them to get blown out, but I was not feeling good about where things were headed after the opening touchdown. And then the way Tennessee was driving the football on that second drive was not feeling good. I was not. And then Owen Heineckke and ARMIES Thomas changed the game. They flipped the script, changed the narrative. Huge. Jen says, thanks for being here, Jen. Yep. When you have a kicker like we do, you take the points. And that's all I'm saying. Like in that final few minutes of the game, when you're in plus territory and you've got time on your side, you've got the ball, you don't got to throw it. Run it. Keep killing clock. If they stop you on 1st and 10, fine. If they stop you on 2nd and 10, fine. Run the ball. Just run it. Eat the clock away. And then if you want to throw it, but you got to do something that's safer than that. You got to do something that's safer than throwing over the middle. We saw it against Auburn last year. Well, bad things happen in crunch situations when you throw it over the middle. So don't do it. This one's a good one right here. Jonathan 214 says, before the season, everyone said 9-3 makes the playoffs, but this whole game, really this whole week, they said both teams' college football playoff hopes were on the line this game. What changed? Well, Jonathan, I don't think anything changed necessarily. I think a lot of people were jumping to conclusions about whether 9-3 would help Oklahoma make the playoffs or not. I'm not sure that I trust the committee to put a 9-3 team in. Now they've come out and they've said, we're going to consider strength of schedule. We're going to consider the difficulty that teams have to play against to determine some of these at-large bids. And maybe they will, but do you want to leave it in the committee's hands? I don't think you do. Just like you don't want to leave the game in the ref's hands. You don't want to leave your playoff aspirations in the college football playoff committee's hands. If you're 9-3 and you get in, great, but be 10-2 and don't even make it a question. So I think that's really what it is. I think a lot of people were kind of just jumping to some assumptions based on the new narratives that the college football playoff committee is going to consider. But until we see them do that, I don't think you can assume that's what's going to happen. Now, with the ACC, Georgia Tech losing, Miami losing, Clemson stinko, Florida State's not very good. SMU's just kind of been okay. The Big 12, that might be a 2-bid league. The Big 10 will be I think a 3-bid league at least. So you have a shot if the ACC continues to just kind of beat up on itself. If the Big 12 beats up on itself a little bit and doesn't have, 2 or 3 teams that are definitive playoff teams, there's a chance, but don't leave it in the committee's hands. Win out and put yourself in the playoffs. Now you got Alabama, you got Missouri, you got LSU. Listen, Alabama's going to be tough. On the road in Tuscaloosa is going to be tough, but you just proved that you can win on the road in a tough environment. So you got to like that, right? You got to feel confident going into the bye week, knowing that you beat Alabama last year with the worst Oklahoma team that we've had in 25 years. You're better this year, and you just got a big road win in a tough environment. So maybe you feel a little bit more confident going into Alabama. But Missouri, LSU, those are both winnable games. Those are winnable games for you. You can get to 9-3. 9-3 to me is now where you should be at the end of the season, at least to me. I would be disappointed in 8-4. I would have been disappointed with 8-4 at the beginning of the season. I'd still be disappointed with 8-4. I felt like 10-2 is what you consider a good season. 9-3, dang, so close but no cigar, right? So that's where Jonathan, this is a long-winded mansplaining discussion. That's where I think the difference lies. There's a lot of people making assumptions about 9-3 gets you into the playoff. If you have Oklahoma's schedule, if you've got some of these really tough schedules out there, but until we see the playoff committee do that, reward a team like Oklahoma that's got a schedule like they have, until we see them do that, don't assume anything. Go win your games. Take care of business. You control your own destiny. If you want to be a playoff team, go beat Alabama. Go beat Missouri. Go beat LSU. If you do that, then it's not a question. If you lose one of those games, you only have yourself to blame if you don't get into the playoff. I've said it for a year. I don't think a 9-3 team should be in the playoff. Now, if Oklahoma is one of those 9-3 teams, I will certainly debate on Oklahoma's behalf to be in the playoff. All right, what else we got here? Yeshua says, I think X-Rob has proven himself 100%. He is one of your best players on offense. And he's one of those guys that you need to continue to feed the ball to. Got to continue to give him the ball, because every time you give him the ball and you give it to him regularly, good things happen. I mean, even before the fumble, he was making a great run. And he had several really, really nice runs. He had several really tough runs too in this one. And that's what I love about Xavier Robinson is he can create big plays, but he also gets you so many tough yards, man. So many. So where even though you're running out of 2nd and 8, or, it's 3rd and 7, it's not 3rd and 10 or 2nd and 10 or 2nd and 12. He just gets you going forward all the time. That touchdown run of his was tough. Give that man the ball for sure. Les Wilson says Mateer is starting to show life and get his form back. Yeah, he looked a whole lot more comfortable this week, and I'm excited to see where he goes from here, because you're going to need him. If you want to go win games, you're going to need him. Our guy Jay says ugly win, but we did it. Exactly. You just win games and nobody cares what they look like. At the end of the season, we're not going to sit here and legislate how Oklahoma won at Tennessee in prime time in a blackout game against the number 2 offense in college football, right? We're not going to do that. We're not going to sit there and talk about how Oklahoma could have won by more or should have maybe lost or whatever. No, we're just going to say, man, Oklahoma beat Tennessee on the road in Knoxville, right? I mean, I think we will. So, man, that's it's crazy. Colt 405, Ben is the youngest OC in FBS. He's still growing, just has to show he will learn from it. 100%. Again, some better things I thought we saw out of him today. Still too many times where I felt like he got away from the run game. There was a nice, first down run where Oklahoma moved the ball well on the ground with Xavier Robinson. And then there was like 3 straight passes. And then one of those was the Ryan Foje hold. But then Mateer made up for it. He kind of saved his offensive coordinator by picking up the third and 16 with his legs. So, hopefully he'll continue to get better. This is where Kevin Wilson's mentorship can help. So let's see. Trying to find some good things. I'm going to respond to this one because this is kind of sums up a lot of the maybe negativity you might feel or hear from Sooners fans. As a Sooners fan, we have never won playing this bad. Tennessee helped us. It was awful. A win is a win. Anyway, did Tennessee help you though? I mean, Joey Aguilar, you could argue he made some bad decisions. I think he made one bad decision, and it was the one that Peyton Bowen picked off. The one that Robert Spears Jennings picked off, I think he was getting hit as that happened. I felt your defense just made him uncomfortable, and you were able to take advantage of that. He wasn't comfortable in the pocket anymore. As that game went along, he still made some really nice throws, but in some clutch situations, you had him inaccurate. You had him throwing wild. I mean, there were several times like the RPO game stuff was just not accurate. There was discombobulation all over the place. That poor freshman tight end is going to be a meme, man, because what do they go for on 4th and 1? And they try to throw it to him out of the backfield on the play action and it hits him right in the face mask. That's going to be a meme. Like, Tennessee fans are not going to let him live that one down, because that would have been a big conversion for them. But yeah, listen, a win is a win. You take the win. You could argue Tennessee helped us, or that you took things from Tennessee. And being an optimistic, positive leaning person, I'm going to lean on the idea that Oklahoma took advantage of some of these mistakes. And if you're going to win a game like this, you've got to take advantage of those mistakes. Oklahoma certainly made enough mistakes on their own for Tennessee to win, but they didn't. Oklahoma did. So you could argue that the mistakes kind of evened out a little bit. Lindell Small says, Sooners played their butts off to win. All you bad mouthing the win and our team need to understand that no game is perfect and a win is a win. Stop whining. Stop whining. Sorry, that's my best Arnold impersonation right now. No, listen, that's where I'm at, man. We can nitpick all we want. Like, I get it. In this world where I can have a podcast, you all can have your social media accounts, we can all nitpick and complain and understand that we could have played better. Totally get it. We could always play better, right? The standard is the standard. Okay. Can always play better. But don't be mad about how you won. Don't undersell the fact that this team won. This was a good win. If you're going to go through every play and nitpick every penalty and every mistake and all that, you're never going to be happy, because it's never going to be perfect. And as I've gotten older, I've just learned to enjoy what does go well. And what went well was that you won the game. So even if, like today, I'm coaching my kids' soccer team and we give up some goals, but we still had a really good day and we won the game. Am I going to sit there and complain about all the goals that we gave up? No. I'm going to cheer on my kids because they went and they played a really good game. And yeah, did they make some mistakes? Yeah, they did. But they played well and they played it well enough to win. So I'm not going to sit there and legislate every little mistake that they made. I'm going to continue to develop them and grow them and things like that. Same thing. Just enjoy the game and enjoy that you got to win. It feels so much better than losing, even if you play well. Like, would you prefer they play perfect and lose? No, you would not. You'd hate that too. So let's just enjoy the fact that they won. Let's see. I'm sorry. There's a lot of great comments in here. I'm trying to find them all. You guys are awesome in the chat. This is fantastic. Let's see here. Thank you, Hunter Van. I appreciate you right here. If this Oklahoma team that we've seen tonight shows up in Tuscaloosa, we're going to have the opportunity to beat Alabama. I agree. I totally agree. Because this was a resilient football team that kept playing every single down. And they took the fight to Tennessee on their field in a primetime game. And that crowd was loud. It was loud. There were people that were reporting on social media that the stadium was rocking. It was literally shaking. And you were able to go get a win. Huge. If they continue to play well, they play better than this, then they're going to have a chance. You know, I don't know if they go beat Alabama. I don't know. But I like the way that they played. I thought that they played well. This is good stuff, man. Just go win. It doesn't matter how you win. Win ugly, win pretty. Who cares? Just win, baby. Right? That's the old Al Davis expression. Just win, baby. Kirk Bryan says X looks like a SEC running back. And yeah, he does. Listen, people were like underselling the run against Ole Miss, the like 65-yard touchdown run. I was like, that's what you do when you have big running backs like that. They're able to make other teams make mistakes with poor tackling. They're able to make good tackling look like poor tackling because he's got so much size and speed and physicality and agility. That's why you just feed a guy like Xavier Robinson. You give him the ball, because even when it doesn't look like there's a good thing that can happen, he can make a good thing happen because of his size, physicality, agility, and speed. So keep feeding X-Rob because he's going to rob some souls. This one right here. I've been stressing about our defense getting turnovers. I'm so glad we finally got some. If we don't get those 3 turnovers, I don't think we win that game. Yeah, I don't think you do either. Because remember, the Peyton Bowen interception was as Tennessee was in your half of the field and driving and looking pretty good. And then the Robert Spears Jennings interception was there before the end of the half. And both of those interceptions lead to field goals. So, I mean, I think you're right. That's a K Zuno over there on YouTube. I think you're absolutely right. You don't get those interceptions. And I don't know if you win the game either, because those interceptions, and then obviously the Owen Heinencke strip sack, fumble return for a touchdown got you 7 points. So you got 13 points off of those turnovers. You only won by, 6? Yeah, you only win by 6. So those 13 points, huge. Especially again, all 3 of those turnovers come in the first half when your offense isn't really doing much. And the fumble return for a touchdown gives you 7, ties the game, changes the complexion of the football game. I talked about this a little bit earlier in the live show, but that play changes the complexion of this football game. It goes from looking like it's about to be 14-0 Tennessee, right? Because they're driving, they're moving the ball really, really well. They're overcoming some longer down and distances against Oklahoma's defense, and they look like they're heading in for another score. At worst, it's going to be 10-0. At best, for Tennessee, it could be 14-0. But Owen Heinencke strips the ball away. ARMIES Thomas does grown man things and shrugs off a Tennessee tight end one-handed and then runs in for a touchdown. Might have sacrificed his hamstring for it, but he runs in for a touchdown, gives you 7. And then the Peyton Bowen interception, and then gets the ball like close to midfield. And then the offense drives it just far enough for Tate Sandell to hit a plus 50 yarder. And then the Robert Spears Jennings interception in return puts you in the plus side of the field of the 50, and you get 3 more points, and it's 16-10 in large part because of your defense. So yeah, we don't win those games without those turnovers. They're starting to come. They're starting to come. Kirk Bryan says Owen deserves a game ball. He gave his all every play. Yeah, he was fantastic. He was fantastic. I don't know if you win this game without the way that he played. He was fantastic. What's this one here? Maybe a hot take, but there needs to be some discipline for some of these penalties. Every game we get killed. Yeah, I mean, listen, penalties are rough. You're kind of young, especially along that offensive line. The Deion Burks penalty, man, that kind of stuff blows my mind. How there's not, and maybe it's because there's so much energy in the stadium, there's so much going on that it's hard to know, like it's hard to be right every single time. But yeah, penalties got to get better, got to clean up a little bit. Yeah. Hey, Richard, I'll talk about Owen Heineckke or about Tate Sandell. I did talk about him a little bit earlier, but I'll talk about him again because he was awesome. Awesome. He's a weapon. You don't win this game without him. Every time that you get across the 50, you got a chance to score points. And that's because of Tate Sandell. And whoever found this kid and locked him up, shout out to you, because he has been one of your best players all season long. So much good stuff, man. We really appreciate you guys. Jay's not here, but we'll have a show with Jay, for Monday so that he can share his thoughts. He was at the game, and so I'm sure he'll have a lot of great things to say. Greg says those commentators pooping on our kicker wearing shorts was hilarious though. Dude can kick in a G-string if he can keep us in the game like that. I totally agree, Greg. Tate Sandell can wear whatever the heck he wants. My guy, do you. Whatever has you kicking the way that you're kicking, you do you, my guy. You go kick that way because, man, you're awesome. Awesome. You're going to be in the league one day. because of that. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm living the good life, man. It's so much more fun to come do this after a win, right? And I appreciate you all. We've been at this for about an hour. I hate to slow it down because there's still a lot of you in the chat that are chatting it up. What's a moment that stood out to you was the biggest moment in this game? Because there were so many really good moments in this one, and so many good plays. Oklahoma. Let's just kind of run down some of the stats real quick. Again, Oklahoma 351 total yards, 192 of those were rushing yards. They averaged 5.5 yards per carry, and they held Tennessee to 1.8 yards per carry. 63 rushing yards for Tennessee on 35 attempts. Oklahoma came away with 4 sacks and 8 tackles for loss in this one. Tennessee was trying to get the ball out quick, and they were able to make some things happen, get a little bit of positive yardage in the run game. But for the most part, Oklahoma dominated them at the line of scrimmage once again. And this is a regular occurrence for Oklahoma. They dominate teams at the line of scrimmage. Obviously the 393 passing yards for Tennessee, got to get better there. But, several big plays that kind of got away from Oklahoma, clean some of that up. You're going to give up big plays. A BRENT VENABLES defense is going to give up big plays from time to time. It's going to happen. So just got to get a little bit better on those and maybe not give up so many. Tennessee had 9 more first downs that Oklahoma did. Oklahoma had 1 more rushing first down though. Tennessee ran 16 more plays than Oklahoma did in this one. Tennessee ran 80 plays. Oklahoma ran 64. 11 penalties, 104 yards. Not great to Tennessee's 3 for 25. And man, I keep going back to this. Like, there's no way that Tennessee is only getting penalized 3 times. There's no way that they're only committing 3 penalties in a game. Just leave it at that. So while we had a lot of penalties, no doubt Tennessee probably could have gotten called for a few more. Oklahoma's 4 of 10 on third down. Not great, but better. I like that they weren't in as many third downs, and they were in better third down situations than they were last week. Last week, they were in a lot of third and longs. This week, they stayed ahead of the chains and kept themselves in better position to convert on third down. So better there. They were 2 for 2 in the red zone again. Huge. So listen, all in all, just a really good game. Shitty Media says here, no question that the RMT fumble recovery into a TD was crucial. We don't win without that play. Yeah. To me, it's the play of the game. It completely changed the complexion, changed the trajectory of this one. So yeah, it was a good game. A good play, huge play for Oklahoma. And again, if they don't get that one, they don't win. So you're 7-2, you're 3-2 in SEC play. You've got games against Alabama on the road, and then you finish the season with 2 home games against Missouri, where you get an opportunity to get them back for one last year. And then hey, listen, if Tate Sandell keeps kicking the way he's kicking, I'll put the pants on. I'll do it. Z Brand Show says Jay and John need to take a pic with those weird kicker pants. Shoot, I'll do it. I ain't afraid. I said something on Twitter a while back that if Oklahoma doesn't go 10-2, I will shave my head. I'll buzz my hair off. If they go 10-2, I'll wear the kicker pants. We'll just put that out there right now. I'll put the kicker pants on. Hunter asks, I was surprised to see Carter get some action tonight, but man, where is Elijah Thomas? I don't know, man. They don't feel comfortable enough to play Elijah Thomas or Zion Kearney or Ivan Carrion just yet. They really lean on their top 4 guys. We saw a lot more Jermichael Carter, and he played well. And I think you got to keep playing him more because Giovanni Gibson just hasn't done enough to separate yet. So I want to see more of him or more Jermichael Carter moving forward. And then, yeah, we'll just see. But so many good moments in this one. Again, don't ever apologize for winning. To me, there was not a whole lot of controversy in this one. Oklahoma just won. They were better. Even though they got penalized 11 times for over 100 yards, they were the better team. They made more plays than Tennessee did, and they picked up the win. So enjoy your Sunday. Make sure you're around for the Sunday SEC reaction show that's going to be live at 11 a.m. wherever. Well, it's going to be 11 a.m. on the YouTube side, but the podcast will drop in your podcast channels not long after that. And then we'll be back for another full week of Locked On Sooners coverage this week. Women's and men's basketball gets started on Monday. So we're going to start talking about that. Excited to talk about this new look men's team that's going to have a whole different feel to it than last year. And then a women's team that's going to be one of the best in the SEC yet again. So a lot of good basketball coverage to come. It's great times to be a Sooner. So again, enjoy the rest of your weekend. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. And thanks so much for being here live with us on the show. It means the world that you all tune in and hear what we have to say. And we appreciate that very much. So make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you get your podcast. Over on Twitter, you can follow us at Locked On Sooners and all of your favorite social media platforms. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Follow me at John 9 Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, for my guy Jay, for all of you in the chat, for everyone around the world, Boomer Sooner!